The 2025 Formula One preseason testing is officially over, with George Russell setting the fastest lap on the final day and Carlos Sainz topping the overall timesheets for Williams. But as we all know, headline lap times don't tell the full story. Over 3 days in Bahrain, we've pieced together a picture of the current pecking order. So let's break it down from last to first. P10. Unfortunately, Sauber is the team that looks set to remain at the back of the grid. The car looked like the most challenging to drive. Even after making setup changes on day one, the car was stiff, unstable, and not particularly quick. The team has a lot of work to do before the season opener. If qualifying were held tomorrow, they'd most likely be at the tail end of the grid. P9. Haas had a quietly solid test. Nothing spectacular, but nothing disastrous either. They focused heavily on long-run simulations, with only a handful of quick laps for performance evaluation. The car looked decent, but it's clear this is a minor evolution from last year rather than a major leap forward. Haas seems to be targeting 2026 for a bigger step, which makes sense given the upcoming regulation changes. Expect them to fight for points occasionally, but not regularly. P8. The Racing Bulls. The car didn't show anything particularly impressive, but it was reliable and solid, which is a positive. There was a lack of consistency in race simulations, and both drivers seemed to struggle at times. In moments when they pushed, the car looked tricky to handle. They're in the mix with other midfield players, but a far cry from the top teams. The team has made a small evolution forward, but probably not enough to put them in top contention. P7. Aston Martin. They started strong on day one, showing promise with a well-balanced car that looked planted and quick. But as testing progressed, familiar problems began to emerge with tire degradation. It looked like their rear tires suffered over long runs, similar to last season. However, there were some bright spots. Fernando Alonso had a strong final stint, and while they didn't complete as many laps as they'd hoped, their focus seemed to be on setup experimentation rather than outright pace. P6. Alpine. Their runs were solid but not spectacular. The car suffered from visible understeer, making it hard to place in corners. The team has been open about focusing more on 2026, so this season feels like a transitional final year under these regulations. They should be capable of fighting for points early on, but as the season progresses and other teams bring updates, they could start to fall back. P5. Williams have made the biggest leap forward compared to last year. The FW47 was consistently impressive across all 3 days with a quick and responsive feel. Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon both looked comfortable, though the car still had moments of unpredictability. They also walked away with the fastest time overall. Even though their fastest times were set under ideal conditions, with low fuel, high power modes, and softer tires, the team has clearly made real progress. They are expected to be in direct fights with upper midfield positions. P4. Red Bull. Their testing didn't run as smoothly as anticipated. A water leak cut Liam Lawson's full day in the car on Thursday, limiting valuable runs. Then on Friday morning, problems of understeer were still present in the new car. Verstappen spent much of Friday tweaking setups, wings, and floor configurations in a bid to find the right balance, losing significant track time in the process. The team was also still running flow paint on their side pods later in their runs, a rare sight that suggests they were still searching for answers. Max Verstappen was able to set the second fastest time towards the end of the final day. However, there are several warning signs that the team is not where they want to be. P3. Ferrari. Their car is fast but seems to suffer from understeer, meaning it's aggressive but rewarding if driven well. That should suit Charles Leclerc. But Lewis Hamilton may need time to adjust. Tire degradation may be an issue on long runs. However, the team looks strong and very close to Mercedes, which means they'll have to get it right on strategy and car settings to fight for wins. On a positive note, Hamilton looked much more comfortable in the SF25 compared to his previous Mercedes, which is a good sign he'll be confident going into the season. P2. Mercedes is strong and well-balanced. Kimi Antonelli was turning heads with his confidence on track, and both he and George Russell looked comfortable pushing the limits of the W16. Tire degradation could still be an issue for the team, but compared to last year, they've clearly made a step forward. They seem to be behind McLaren on race pace, but may have the best handling car on the grid. P1. McLaren are the team to beat again. Their car was quickest and had excellent tire management that caught everyone's attention. The rear end is unstable at times, but that's a small issue compared to how strong it looked overall. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri both seemed comfortable, though Norris appeared slightly more at ease with the car. Given their long-run pace, McLaren are clear front runners heading into Australia. This is our pecking order for 2025. What do you think? Which team surprised you the most? And who do you think will win the championship? Leave your feedback in the comments below.